Welcome to my extended version of how it would feel to die from Springlock Suit Failure from Five Nights at Freddy's. But for real, that means that you really will die this time and you aren't coming back. I've learned so much since posting my first video, and I want to include all of the gruesome details that won't fit into a TikTok. Ancient executioners would have loved to get their hands on a contraption like this. The closest thing that they had was the dreaded Iron Maiden. This very real torture device was basically an iron casket shaped like a person, outfitted with spikes designed to impale upon closing. Springlock Suit Failure would be much worse. These suits double as an animatronic as well as a full-body suit, but in a way, the entire thing is machinery. The endoskeleton is the shell that fits around your full body, and the various spring locks keep it all together, while maintaining a big enough space for a person to squeeze into safely. I use the word safely loosely, because when the spring locks fail, all of the sharp and jagged metal pieces implode into that person-sized space, which creates a horror show of flesh, meats, and bloody debris flying from the battered holes in the suit. There are spring locks located all over this device from head to toe. That means the legs, flank, chest, back, arms, shoulders, jaw, ears, and just all around the head. There is no escaping that punishment. If they all fail, you'll become a heap of fragmented bone and DNA, now fused to and completely one with the animatronic. Now let me break down exactly what you'll be experiencing, beginning with the legs. The human legs have some seriously tough bones. In fact, the femur or thigh bone is the most painful bone that a person can break. How can you even measure on a pain scale how it would feel to break every single bone? For a fleeting moment, the force and sound of the many nauseating crunches will be the worst of it. But soon you'll be overcome, and I mean overcome, with a sensation of lightning shooting up and down. There will be stinging, raw gnawing, and absolute burning. Several serious arteries will be severed in so many places that they will become like tiny fragments of straws floating in a soup of bodily fluids. You no longer have a foundation to stand on, so you'll buckle in a heap on the ground. The shock of smacking the floor will echo through your every nerve ending. The body's not equipped to handle such torment. Your adrenal glands will release catecholamines, which can sometimes take the edge off of pain, but there are too many edges to be taken off here. You will have to endure it all. At least you're well on your way to bleeding to death. Your abdomen is plump with more juicy arteries and internal organs. Not one will be spared, as your kidneys, spleen, gallbladder, liver, stomach, and bowels are basically shot with this high-caliber metal. You'll experience a violent need to go to the bathroom. I'm talking stomach flu, violent diarrhea sensations. Your spleen, kidneys, and liver have all been perforated, meaning they've basically blown. Any surrounding tissue that has remained remotely intact will swell from the blood now rushing into your abdominal cavity. The pressure will be so immense that you'll wonder if you're an overfilled water balloon, ready to explode all over the walls. Little do you know that that has already happened. To give you an idea of what pressure can do and feel like, think of a tooth abscess. If you've ever experienced one, you likely wanted to rip your head off, and that is just a tiny little pocket of pus. Imagine that times 1,000, but everywhere. Blood is incredibly irritating to internal tissue, so in addition to the rising pressure, it will feel as if it's acid eating its way through every fiber. Now let's discuss the chest region. One of only 2 shots at a quick death lies here. Your ribcage works like a layer of armor to protect one of your most vital of all organs, your heart. The sternum or breastbone is far more durable than your individual rib bones, for a reason. Sadly, in this case, it makes it unlikely that your heart will be pierced. And if it is, it's most likely to be killed by a sharp, fragmented piece of bone than any metal. Those more vulnerable rib bones that extend from the sternum will snap like a dried-up twig. Your lung lobes will inevitably catch multiple pieces of shrapnel as well as pulverized bone. When the lungs are punctured, air rapidly escapes into the chest space. When they spring multiple holes, it'll make you unleash a sound of death, literally. Sometimes when a person dies suddenly and traumatically, air is pushed out of their lungs all at once, causing an eerie groan. That's the involuntary sound that you'll feel rippling up your throat. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean that you are going to fade out of misery immediately. It just means that your lungs have collapsed and you will not be getting any more hearty, satisfying breaths. Asphyxiation is the new horse in this race, and it's lagging slightly behind bleeding to death. It also means that sheer panic will intermix with your horrific pain. You'll continue to attempt to draw in breaths, and rapidly, due to your serious distress. Every time that you do, you'll feel as if a molten serrated blade is piercing each lobe. Your chest cavity is filling with internal blood, and the releasing air from your lungs is causing it to bubble up. It'll feel like it's boiling up your throat, and it will fill your mouth with the vile taste of biting metal. It will also ooze into your lung tissue, so now you are literally drowning in your own blood. I'm not sure if there are any saw fans out there, but what these spring locks will do to your jaw, mouth, and teeth is a little bit like the reverse bear trap. The only difference is your jaw will not be completely ripped wide open. The force of the exploding springs will pulverize several molars down to the root. Your maxilla and mandible, meaning your upper and lower jaw as well as your nose bone, will contend with several kinds of fractures. In some spots, they'll splinter like the ground in an earthquake. In others, they'll become completely crushed to the point of crumbling. But hey, if you really wanted to, you could turn the mashed up bone into a pie crust. I wish I could say that it would end there, but since these spring locks are failing everywhere, these assaults will occur simultaneously. You might get the picture by now, and you might be ready to can this video, but if not, let's continue farther up the head. Your eyeballs will be spared, though your vision will surely be skewed by the running blood. There's a devil of a nerve located near your temples called the trigeminal nerve, and the moment that puppy is severed, you'll feel as if your head is underwater in a bathtub with a live toaster. Not only will you hear the nauseating sound of your skull crackling and crumbling, but you'll taste it and feel that sound as well. Oddly enough, few people who have lived to tell the tale of a badly busted skull have claimed that an earthy taste like dirt invaded their taste buds. Additionally, they could feel and sense the crumbling of bone as it reverberated from side to side. Here's your second shot at a quick death, and it's more likely than a punctured heart. As your skull is more or less turned into a 5,000-piece puzzle, the forces of the spring locks will likely shoot more than a few pieces into your brain tissue. Brain death isn't a guarantee, but if your brainstem is punctured, it will likely be lights out. How horrible would your luck be if your brainstem and heart were both spared? It's unlikely, but not impossible. Your eardrums will rupture, which will unleash a bomb of nuclear proportions inside of your mangled head. Hearing is one of the last things to go when life ends, which will leave you with a high-pitched ringing as the soundtrack of your death. If you evade brain damage and your heart is not punctured, that would mean that you'll be damned to a lesson in how horrifyingly each part of your body can hurt, and for up to 40 seconds. It likely won't go above 25. That may not seem too long, but I imagine it would be the longest 25 seconds any human has ever experienced because this death has it all. Sensations of burning alive, being crushed, drowning, pounding, explosions, deceleration, and too many more. Let's not forget that exsanguination or blood loss comes with its own brand of hell. Once you're near death, you'll be struck with a profound nausea, leaving you unaware if you're going to vomit or pass out. You won't have enough energy to do either. You might even feel like your heart is quivering up your throat as it sputters and patters and then finally slows way down. You will feel like your life force is rapidly draining out of your body because that's in fact what is happening. This is not the kind of death any person wants to experience.